उमज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमो ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिन्निति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। So Mother Devahuti is continuing to ask Lord Kapila, her son, to explain further about devotional service. So various specific questions we are seeing here. In this verse we see how she is expressing her concern towards living entities in general in this material world. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada writes, as a Vaishnava, as a devotee of the Lord, she is expressing her compassion for the fallen living entities struggling in this material world. And for that purpose, her beloved son, he has described the Bhakti Yoga process, the path of devotional service to the Lord. Here it is referred to as Yoga Bhaskara. Yoga Bhaskara we also have here. So meaning of Yoga Bhaskara is, the purport Srila Prabhupada says, the sun of the system of all yoga. So specifically referring to the Bhakti Yoga. It is like the sun, and we are all in darkness. Once the sun appears, all darkness is gone, full of illumination, warmth, light, life, energy, everything is there once the sun appears. So here we see lokasya mithya abhimater achakshushaha. Achakshusha, chakshu means eyes, achakshu, not able to see. The common people, they are not able to see what is beneficial for them, what is not beneficial for them. Why? Mithya abhimata, deluded by false ego. They are falsely thinking, I am this body. Things related to this body are mine. People related to this body are my people. It's mithya abhimata, blinded by false ego. So they do not know what is really beneficial for them. And in this condition, chiram prasuptasya tamasi anashraye. Chiram prasuptasya, from a long time they have been in this sleeping condition. Tamasi anashraya, in the darkness, in that sleeping condition, anashraya, without any shelter. Now we may wonder, okay, nicely sleeping condition, no disturbance, full darkness. Many devotees complain about light and nighttime disturbances. Full darkness is there and sleeping comfortably. There is no problem there. But no, that's not the way here. Darkness is of their knowledge. They are not in true knowledge. They are fully in ignorance. But they are anashraya. They don't have proper shelter. So proper shelter is not there. They have taken shelter of Maya, Mithya Abhimater. That Bhakti Vinod Thakur song Jiva Jago we hear. The living entity is lying on the lap of Maya, false shelter. The witch of Maya, any moment, the living entity is thinking, okay, comfortably I'm lying on the lap of this witch Maya, but whenever she wants, she'll wake you up and suck your blood. That's her business. But the living entity, artificially he is thinking, now I am comfortably sleeping. This is his ignorance, lack of knowledge. So here, next line, we can understand this more clearly. If the living entity is not comfortably sleeping, he is Shrantasya karmasu anuvidhaya dhiya. His dhiya, his intelligence is attached to anuvidha, vidha, or attached to anuvidhaya, to what? Karmasu, all kinds of actions and reactions. His intelligence is attached to that. I will work, I will get the result, and I will enjoy for myself. This is the sum and substance of karma. I will work hard, I will get the result of my hard work, and I will enjoy the fruits of my work. But is this the reality? Is his plan, will it work? No. This is not the way. This is not his constitutional position. He has to serve the Lord. He is part and parcel of the Lord. If the Lord is pleased, automatically he'll be pleased. So this is his constitutional position. But falsely he is thinking, his intelligence is whatever is anuvidhaya, attached to this kind of thinking. Karmasu anuvidhaya dhiya shrantasya. And by being fully engaged in all kinds of karmic activities, actions and reactions, he is completely shranta, fatigued. Fatigued means completely after hard work, completely, what we say? Exhausted, yes, exhausted, no energy, very tired. That is his fatigued condition. After being completely, completely involved in all kinds of karmic activities. Shrantasya karmasu anuvidhaya dhiya. So for this purpose, tvam avirashi kila yoga bhaskaraha. You have appeared, my dear Lord, as my son, and you have propounded this bhakti yoga system. Tvam avirashi, you have kindly appeared here to describe this yoga process. So she is telling her son. So here, let us see. So just same way like translation Prabhupada says, my dear Lord, you are just like the sun. For you illuminate the darkness of the conditional life of the living entities. Why? Because their eyes of knowledge are not open. They are sleeping eternally in that darkness without your shelter. And therefore, they are falsely engaged. So in that whatever so-called sleeping condition, what are they doing? They are falsely engaged. And therefore they are falsely engaged by the actions and reactions of their material activities, and they appear to be very fatigued, very tired, exhausted. This is the condition of living entities in the material world. Okay, now few examples through the teachings of Srila Prabhupada. I'll be telling you now how a living entity in this material world is falsely engaged. It is not that living entity is not engaged. No, he is completely engaged. Maya is not leaving him just like that. She is squeezing out make him work hard. The examples, lot of examples Prabhupada has given. Few examples let us try to see now. The first one, the example of the teacher's punishment. Two naughty boys are there in the classroom. They are creating some trouble, and the teacher decides to punish them. She makes them stand in front of each other, facing each other, and she'll tell them to hold the ears of the other person, other boy, and each of them holding the ears of the others. And she'll tell them to squeeze it. So one boy, he'll squeeze the ear of the his classmate, and the other person with that pain, he'll also squeeze the ear of the person who is squeezing him. And this goes on, he'll squeeze more and the other person, both are crying or shouting, unable to bear the pain, but both are squeezing the ear of the other. So this is how the envious nature within us makes us fight with each other. One thing is, if we see someone lesser than us, we want to overtake them, or we want to pull their leg. So this is how we are fully involved in squeezing the other person's ear, in the due course getting our own ears being squeezed and suffering the pain. So this is one example Srila Prabhupada gives. The second one, the sand castle. Small children, they are being taken to some beach by their parents, and the parents think, okay, maybe 1 hour we'll spend here. They are sitting on the bench there and relaxing, and the small children are fully involved in building something, some nice house or some building or some attractive thing they are building on the beach. And after say 1 or 2 hours, night time, darkness, the parents, they call their child, come, time up, we need to go. Really, my big house I have built here, nice building I have constructed here, nothing doing, just leave and walk off. They will be fully engrossed, lot of hard work, nicely they have constructed, whatever it is, just leave and go. So this is speaking about the futility of the hard work in the material world. How much ever you work hard, whatever result you may get, a time will come, leave and go. Then speaking about how in this material world there is actually no happiness. The example of mirage in a desert. It appears that as if some water, some vapor, something is there in the horizon. Foolish people thinking that, oh, there is some river body there, fully thirsty in the desert. They run behind it just to only find out that actually there is no water. Again in the next horizon, again they see something, it will appear as if some water is there. Again they run towards it. Again just to make out there is no water there also. So they keep running and running and running, and finally being exhausted, they fall flat. But never they will get water. So this is how the living entity, actually there is no happiness in this material world. Simply for so-called happiness, they work so hard. This is another example. Next. A person wanting to make money, he'll go, okay, he's ready to make money, ready to work hard, and he has his own whatever shop or business in the market, but he'll go to his neighbor's shop, sit there, and from morning till evening he'll work hard there, and all that whatever money or income coming going to the account of the neighbor. And at the end of the day, his balance will show 0. But the whole day he is working in his neighbor's shop. He is whatever benefiting some other person. Likewise, not knowing our true position as spirit soul, we are thinking, whatever identifying ourselves with some false designations, we work so hard, but in the due course, not benefiting us at all. We think, I belong to this family, this community, this country, and based on these designations, we may dedicate our life and work very hard. But at the end of the day, no benefit for oneself. So this is one example. And then about the famous example of the donkey. The donkey, how carries the burden of the washerman, and you can just throw off so much whatever grass is available there, but still he is thinking, only if I carry this heavy burden, only then I will get the food. So not knowing how even easily things what we are able to get, we simply work unnecessarily hard, just like a donkey. So like that. And one more last example, like one of the camel with eating thorns. It is going in search of thorns, it's fighting for that and nicely eating that. And in the due course, it is pricking its own gums and the inner portions of its mouth, its tongue, and blood is coming out, hurting itself. Still, it is fond of eating those thorns. Likewise, living entities in the material world, they hurt themselves. They create a painful condition for themselves. Still, they'll be thinking, yes, I'm working, I'll get happiness. So like this, hundreds of examples are there. Many things we can also make out how the living entity is falsely engaged in this material world. Because what the living entities, like people in the outside world, they are doing, is exactly what they are doing. Any activity, whatever karmis or whatever living entity is doing in the outside material world, without Krishna consciousness, it just falls under this category, being falsely engaged. So like so we can go on with hundreds of examples. So now, I'll be reading one portion from the Krishna book, very interesting pastime of how Lord Krishna, along with Bhima and Arjuna, he went to Magadha, to the palace of Jarasandha, and he got Jarasandha killed through Bhima, and then he released 20,800 kings and princes who were imprisoned by Jarasandha in a like mountainous hilly area being fortified. So here we'll be seeing now how all of these, they are all not ordinary people, but they were big kings of different states, numbering 20,800. This Jarasandha, through his military power, aggression, he had conquered over them and brought them and put them in that whatever one hill, and which was fortified, from where they couldn't escape. And all of these kings, they were not being fed properly, with very meager food, with niggardly being dressed, and no proper care for them, not sheltered well, They were all, with all their faces, their skin were all dried up. They had become very thin and weak, lost all hopes in life. This was their condition in the captivity of Jarasandha. And when Jarasandha was killed and his son Sahadeva was made the king, immediately Krishna went to this place to release all of them. So after Krishna going there, and they were all able to see the Lord, and Krishna exhibited his four-armed Vishnu form there, and they were all wonderstruck. They were very happy looking at the Lord. From so many years, they were all in that wretched condition, suffering there, and they were all praying to the Lord in that artha, distressed condition. And now they are able to see this Lord personally there, standing in front of them, holding his Shankha, Chakra, Gada, Padma, having a helmet on his head with all yellow garments and nicely dressed with nice flower garlands, with a smiling face. They saw this form of the Lord and they were all very happy. And it is said there how just by the dint of their being in front of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, all reactions to their sinful activities were washed away. By being present in front of the Lord, how all of their sinful activities were now washed away. They were completely purified now. After undergoing all of those tribulations, thinking of the Supreme Lord, praying to the Lord, now the Lord has personally come. They are all in the presence of the Lord. They are all completely cleansed of their sinful reactions. So now all of these kings, in this purified state, in their self-realized state, they offer beautiful prayers to Lord Krishna. So in their realized condition, let us see what prayers they offer. What do they pray? Why? Because they are all kings. A very important lesson is there for us to learn from them. We are all like conditioned living entities having come to this material world to lord it over. And who has got the highest capacity to lord over? The kings, emperors, the Kshatriyas. All land belongs to them. They have military power, wealth, everything at their command. See? And let us see their realization now. After being undergoing the painful condition, and now finally in a realized condition in front of the Lord, what do they pray? Let us see. They say, only some portions I will be reading. It's a very lengthy prayer. Some important points, let us see. They say, it is by your causeless mercy, O Lord, that we have been released from the imprisonment of Jarasandha. But now, you release us from imprisonment within material existence, your illusory energy. It's not that these kings, they are telling, now my dear Lord, you have come and released us from this Jarasandha's imprisonment. Thank you very much, we are very happy. No, they are not telling like that. They are telling, this is not sufficient. Just by releasing us from this imprisonment, please release us from the illusory energy, your external energy, Maya. This is their prayer. Because we also, even as devotees also, even some devotees say there is some health problem. Oh Lord, please give me release from this health problem. Okay, Lord will come, give you release from this health problem, and is it that everything is done? No. Or maybe some other devotee, okay, problem from some other person or from some other devotee. Okay, the devotee will go somewhere else. Is it that all problems are solved? No. Until and unless we are completely relieved of this entanglement from Maya, till then the suffering will continue. So these kings are praying, my dear Lord, kindly give us relief from your external energy, from the imprisonment of your illusory energy. Then, next, we now have sufficient experience of the miserable material life in which we are fully absorbed. We can now clearly see that Jarasandha was not at fault in the least. It is actually by your causeless mercy that we were bereft of our kingdoms, for we were very proud of calling ourselves rulers and kings. So they are telling, Jarasandha is not at fault at the least. It is because of our pride. We were all very proud of our position, the power what we had. So, out of your causeless mercy, through the means of this Jarasandha, only nimitta matra, through this Jarasandha you have arranged this so that we will come to our senses, we will become humble. So Jarasandha is not at fault at the least. Again, to this point I will come later. Then they continue, just like a foolish person who considers a mirage in the desert a reservoir of water, foolish persons think that their material possessions will give them protection. Engaged in sense gratification, they falsely accept this material world as a place of eternal enjoyment. So this we are aware, falsely thinking that material pleasures, deha, apatya, atma saimeshu, kalatra, all these people will help me, protect me, but they are all false. Then we must admit that before this we were puffed up with our material opulences. It was as if we were intoxicated because we were all envious and wanted to conquer one another. We all engaged in fighting for supremacy, even at the cost of sacrificing the lives of many citizens. See, this is the point. How all of these kings earlier, they were involved in fighting with each other to show their supremacy, even at the cost of innocent people, innocent soldiers, simply fighting with each other, creating trouble, violent activities, warfare. They were all involved in these things. So this is how. Then Prabhupada says how this is the disease of political power. This is the disease of political power. As soon as a king becomes rich in material opulences, he wants to dominate other nations by military aggression. Similarly, mercantile men want to monopolize a certain type of business and control other mercantile groups. So just like the kings want to capture other kingdoms, even mercantile men, some businessmen, they want to monopolize, capture other markets, whatever small businessmen. So this is continuously going on. Then, impelled by false prestige and infatuated by material opulences, human society, instead of striving for Krishna consciousness, creates havoc and disrupts peaceful living. Thus, men forget the real purpose of life to attain the favor of the Lord. So they are telling how, by completely engrossed in these activities, we have forgotten our real activity, forgotten the real purpose of life, which is achieving your favor, my dear Lord. In today's conversation also we read, Ante Narayana Smritihi. So we have to attain the favor of the Lord. So instead of being engaged in this activity, simply some nonsense activity, falsely we were engaged. Then we are now bereft of all opulences and stand before you like street beggars. We consider our position, your causeless, unalloyed mercy upon us, because now we can understand that we were falsely proud that our material opulences could be withdrawn from us within a second by your will. By your causeless mercy only, we are now able to think of your lotus feet. That is our greatest gain. So they are telling, my dear Lord, we are standing in front of you like street beggars now. See, they are all big kings. My dear Lord, we are all standing before you like street beggars, but this is your causeless mercy upon us. You are very merciful to us, so you have put us into this condition, to the position like a street beggar. Why? Why? Because now we can understand that we were all falsely proud of our material opulences, which could be withdrawn from us within a second. Now we can realize that. By your causeless mercy only, we are now able to think of your lotus feet. That is our greatest gain. It is not that now we have been released from the clutches of Jarasandha, now we have got back our kingdom, now we can live happily with our family, this is our greatest gain. No. They are telling, now we are able to think of your lotus feet in this humble condition. This is our greatest gain. So likewise, a lot of things are there, it continues. And okay, after all of these prayers being offered to the kings who were captivated by Jarasandha, after hearing all of these, the Lord begins speaking. Just 2 points I have picked up from there. Lord Krishna, he addresses that king and he says, my dear kings, he said, I bestow upon you my blessings. From this day forth, you will be attached to my devotional service without fail. So this is the blessing what the Lord gave. As you have asked for, yes, I'll bless you that without fail you will be attached to my devotional service. Then Krishna says, I confirm that all what you have spoken about me in your prayers is factual. It's a fact, it is factual. Whatever you have told, everything is true. Now coming back to the point which I made earlier, which the kings told, Jarasandha was not at fault in the least. The kings had told, he is not at fault. He is simply one instrument only. It is because of our pride, our past, whatever karma or whatever, we are suffering. So Krishna is confirming that. I confirm that all what you have spoken about me in your prayers is factual. And finally he says, it is a fact that the materially opulent position of one who is not fully Krishna conscious is the cause of his downfall and is becoming victim of the illusory energy. So, if at all a living entity, he is materially opulent, but without Krishna consciousness. This is the cause for his falling into the clutches or becoming a victim of Maya. Being materially opulent, but not being Krishna conscious, they will fall into Maya. So we need to be aware of these things. If at all we don't learn a lesson from these kings here, whatever nice beautiful prayers they have offered in that realized condition, so we also otherwise get into the same loop, being falsely engaged in so many material activities, hundreds and thousands and millions of things for us to do in this material world, but all of them are false. None of them will give us true happiness. Simply will be fatigued, shranta, anuvindhaya dhiya karmasu the actions and reactions, mind intelligence fully engrossed in that, and completely being fully active in all of those unwanted activities, Shranta, completely fatigued. We don't know what to do, what's happening. In the purport also, interestingly, Prabhupada says, sleeping in that darkest region, one does not get any refreshment, but rather gradually becomes fatigued. He invents many processes to adjust this fatigued condition, but he fails and thus remains confused. See, that sleeping condition, ignorant condition, he is involved in all kinds of karmic activities, fully fatigued, no refreshment, nothing to eat there, something he is trying out, but something he is trying and so many things, why, whatever, I am not getting energy, why my hunger is not going away, because he is trying out something. Just like a hungry person, say he gets some chili powder or some salt, pepper powder, something he eats, and if he starts saying, why my hunger is not going away, still my stomach is burning more and more, complete. This is exactly the condition what's happening in this material world. So until and unless we come to Krishna consciousness, engage in devotional service to the Lord, please and satisfy the Supreme Lord, we can never be happy, we can never be peaceful, we can never overcome this fatigued condition of the material world. Only by true Krishna consciousness, just like that verse from the Bhagavatam, Tushti Pushti Kshudapaya. Real food only when you eat, there is Tushti, happiness, Pushti, there is nourishment, and Kshud Apaya, there is, the hunger is gone, we are satisfied, the stomach is full. We have to, that's why we have to come to this platform. So in the last, Srila Prabhupada says, the only path for mitigating this fatigue in the struggle for existence is the path of devotional service or the path of Krishna consciousness. We'll end with this. Grantraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki.